Well, good evening, barflies and lounge lizards, and welcome to Groovy Reviews. And tonight we'll be taking a work-safe look at the super groovy, fantastic, sensual world of Black Emanuelle 15-disc set. Now, this won't be a review of the films themselves, just the actual release. And I'm going to start with a small overview for those that don't know the Black Emanuelle series. Then I'll go into the set itself, and finally I'll end on picture quality, special features, etc. If you want to just skip ahead to either, just use the handy chapter stops below. But the Black Emanuelle series, if one can call it that, is a series of mostly unrelated films of varying plot, subject matter, and theme, all starring my favorite actress, Laura Gemser. In fact, Laura is the subject of my largest focused DVD collection at 29 DVDs currently, not including this set. As to what Black Emanuelle is, that was simply the film that started it all and made Laura a star. As I mentioned, most of these films are completely unrelated, her only playing the same character a few times in the Joe D'Amato films. In many cases, the name Emanuelle was just slapped onto the title of random other films just because Laura was in them. As to the films themselves, know in advance that these are not adult films, even if they may look like it. Sure, they're sleazy, but many of these are full, legit movies with strong acting and directing, exotic locales with wonderful cinematography, and often complicated, well-written plots. Laura was a strong enough actress that she even did some mainstream work, including a drama co-starring alongside Michael Landon called Love Is Forever. The films on this set, the bulk of which I actually already own on DVD, range from light drama all the way to pure exploitation. There's even a cannibal movie on there for good measure. The Black Emanuelle films really do have a little something for all fans of exploitation films and just good 70s cinema in general. Okay, so this is the set itself, and we're going to try our best to get through this without any things that YouTube doesn't want you seeing. But this is a big, hefty, nice set. I mean, it's got some heft to it. It's 15 discs, 24 films, 2 soundtracks, 40 hours of special features, and a 356 page book. And I've got quite a few box sets that come with nice little books, but I have never seen anything quite like this one. Now let's, the boob paper, get used to the boob paper. But I mean, just look at this thing. I mean, this is a massive tome, and it's supposed to be just the most comprehensive Black Emanuelle pieces ever written. And I always appreciate these kind of books, yet I rarely ever read them. Just like some kind of mouth-breathing yokel, I just look at the funny pictures. But yeah, this looks like a really nice one. Obviously, he's going very deep into. But yeah, it says this is the most substantial collection of writing ever devoted to the Black Emanuelle series, with all kinds of essays and such. Oh, even sounds like it has an interview with Laura herself. So neat stuff. I mean, Severin really knocked it out of the park with this release. I'm going to go ahead and say in advance. Now, let's look at the set. Okay, so the movies are in these, that's 2 per disc, and they're on these little kind of sleeve cards thing. Pretty standard for this type of release. But we start out, the first disc is Black Emanuelle, the one that started it all, and Black Emanuelle 2. And if I'm not mistaken, this Black Emanuelle 2 actually doesn't even have Laura in it. It's just kind of a follow-up without Laura. So I guess they put it in here for completeness and such. And then next we have Emanuelle in Bangkok and Emanuelle in America. Now, the last time I watched all these movies through, which has been a little bit, this was actually my favorite of all the films. Don't know if that's still the case, but it was about 10 or 15 years ago. And then the next disc we have Emanuelle Around the World and Emanuelle and the Last Cannibals. And that's probably the most famous in some circles, because it's, I guess, one of the few horror type movies she ever did. And then this set of features, Porno Nights of the World and Emanuelle and the Porno Nights of the World. I've never seen these. These are the first of the ones on here, other than that Emanuelle 2, that I not only don't own, but I've never seen. Don't know what these are about. But I'm assuming it has something to do with Porno Nights of the World. And then disc 5 is Sister Emanuelle and Emanuelle and the White Slave Trade. And in this one, Sister Emanuelle, she actually plays a nun in this one. This is starting to get really into the more exploitation theme side of things. Whereas the earlier ones like the first Black Emanuelle is almost more of just a drama with exotic locales, as I mentioned before, just the events of this photographer running around Africa. But Sister Emanuelle, that's getting into it. And speaking of the more exploitation side of things, we have Violence at Women's Prison and Emanuelle in Prison, her 2 women in prison movies that she did. Both very good if you dig women in prison movies. And these, again, kind of are on the side of the dark and gritty women in prison films. These aren't your fun Roger Corman type ones. These are the more uncomfortable ones. Okay, disc 7 is Black Cobra and Black Velvet. Now, that's a thing about a lot of these Laura movies, a lot of these Emanuelle movies, is they have multiple titles. And sometimes I'll know one of the movies very well, but just don't know it under a particular title. There's these 2, Black Velvet and Black Cobra. I actually think I know which 2 these are, but I'm not positive. I probably should have looked before I started this video, but I literally got this in the mail today an hour ago and just jumped into the filming after doing a little checking. But if this is the one I think it is, if this is Black Cobra, yeah, it's actually Black Cobra Woman. And this is actually a really good kind of almost revenge-ish mystery one with Jack Palance. So this is another one of the more legit films of the feature. Again, if that's Black Cobra Woman. I guess maybe I'll check after filming and let you know. And next we have 2 more I haven't seen under these titles, and that's Emanuelle's Perverse Outburst, but who hasn't had a perverse outburst? Today even. And the next disc we have Boobs Over a Butt, and that's Divine Emanuelle and Fantico, When the Goddess Calls. I don't know what this is at all. Again, I probably should have checked this. I don't know if this is special features or actual film. But Divine Emanuelle, that's quite a good one. And another case of where they just kind of slapped an Emanuelle title on something very not your usual Emanuelle film. Because, as I probably should have mentioned in the overview, the Emanuelle films, she's generally the Mae Jordan character. The Emanuelle character is a reporter who gets herself in all kinds of wild and wacky and dangerous situations. But in Divine Emanuelle, she actually is the leader of a cult. So yeah, it's really different, really interesting, quite good. And the disc 10, Emanuelle, Queen of the Desert. And this is another one that is very not like your usual ones. And if I remember this one correctly, she ends up running around with some rebels in the desert, and kind of almost a war-ish type movie. Yeah, it's quite different than the others. Okay, and then on disc 11, we have Free Love and Emanuelle, A Woman from a Hot Country. This is another one I'm pretty sure I have. I just don't know it under this title. Now, Free Love, on the other hand, is quite good one. That's one of her earliest movies, released under, the DVD version is called The Real Emanuelle, and supposedly it's her first film. And so not even an Emanuelle film at all. They slapped that title, The Real Emanuelle, on later to sell it. But yeah, this is a quite good one, just another one that's kind of almost a light drama. Almost a sleazy love story, you could say. And I am quite looking forward to seeing this one again, because let me tell you, my DVD copy, which I will get to in a minute, is rough. So I'm just going to skip over disc 12, because neither of them are Laura movies, and the titles are trying to keep this one work safe. But disc 13 is Inferno Rosso, Joe D'Amato on the Road of Excess and Scandalous Emanuelle. Now this one is a documentary about Joe D'Amato, which I've actually been quite looking forward to seeing. And if that's something that suits your fancy, seeing a documentary about the great Joe D'Amato, they actually have released this one separately as well on the Severin site. Okay, and now we're getting into the special features-y type stuff. But I'll start with, rather than what we're looking at, the picture quality. And you're probably wondering, is the picture quality that good? What did Severin do with this stuff? Is it really worth upgrading like you did all these different movies? And I have to say, of the ones I checked, and I did go check about 3 or 4 of them, absolutely. And I'm actually going to try to show you some footage here. I don't have any fancy pants ripping type software, so I'm just gonna have to shoot it with my camera, and hopefully you can tell the difference. But some of this stuff, the difference is night and day. The aforementioned Free Love, for example, my DVD copy, the real Emanuelle version, it looks like a third generation VHS rip. So blurry you can barely even make out the features. Yet this version, it's almost like looking at a whole different movie, and it's going to be like watching a whole different movie. And then I checked some of the ones that have some of the better picture, like the original Black Emanuelle DVD release, and night and day on that one as well. Quite a difference. So yeah, these are most certainly very nice versions, at least again the movies I checked here. Definitely worth that upgrade. Now let's get to the only quibble I have about this entire set, and that is the soundtrack CDs. The first is Nico Fandango's Groove. Now, he is easily my favorite score writer of all time. His music, especially for the Emanuelle films, is incredible. And it is very awesome having these songs. And these are essentially, if you're wondering, for those of you who have the old Black Emanuelle boxes from years back, also from Severin, this is not just a repeat of those per se. Like this disc here is kind of a best of the tracks from those two discs. So there's still stuff on those discs that aren't on these. But the reason the quibble comes in is they broke one of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to movie scores. Is they added dialogue samples, and they made them their own tracks too. I mean, some folks may dig that. I guess it's just a preference thing. But me personally, I just want to listen to the music. I don't need to listen to, a bad quality rip of dialogue from a movie. Just want to hear the songs, man. But yeah, so that's what this first disc is. Now the second disc, Black Emanuelle's Rarities and B-Sides, these are all a bunch of songs that aren't on the Black Emanuelle boxes soundtrack disc. So that's pretty neat right there, getting some original stuff. Actually, I will, because here's the listing right here. Like this has stuff from Violence in a Women's Prison, Black Cobra, Sister Emanuelle, Black Velvet, The Porno Nights of the World, and Free Love, even right there. So yeah, I'm actually quite looking forward to this one. I did not sample this one, but let's see. This one, though, does not look like it has the dialogue samples. It looks like it's strictly music. Hopefully it's strictly music. If so, that will make up for the last one. Again, sorry folks, I really should have checked that beforehand. But if that's the case, then I'll make up for the last one, because I have the Black Emanuelle's boxes and those great CDs from him. So yeah, so there we have it. Just a quick look at this amazing set from Severin. If you're still on the fence, I highly recommend you get this while you still can, because the last I checked a day or so ago, it was still available, and stuff like this will probably disappear, and like the Black Emanuelle boxes from years back, will probably get rare and expensive before you know it. And that's all the time we have this week. Please, wait, that's not all the time we have this week. What are the special features it mentioned? Because the last time when I did the Empire box set, Mr. Tony Santiago, he let me have it for not mentioning the special features. Okay, so jumping back in, something very cool I just discovered in the back of this book is it has a little thing about the different movies on here. Talks about a bunch of their different titles. Oh, it has all their different titles, tells which ones they are, the special features in it. So yeah, very, very cool feature. And I was right. The Black Cobra is actually Black Cobra Woman, the one with Jack Palance. So yeah, very cool. And just this book alone is going to come in very handy for figuring out which film is which. But yeah, just looking at this, it's just a treasure trove of information for these different films. And that's all the time we have this week. Please like, comment, subscribe, and keep it wacky.